And I can't wait to hear from you, Adam Hoge, as we start off our best and worst here on a newsy day out at Halas Hall. Hoge, what do you got, buddy? Give me your best.
Yeah, my best is actually, and maybe this will be a little bit of curveball, but it's a lesson that we can all adapt and we can all make decisions based on what we're seeing. But my best is actually that the starters are not going to play in Kansas City. And I will admit, I did not think I would be here a couple weeks ago. I don't think the Bears thought they'd be here. I believe the plan was for them to play in the last 3 preseason games. And I think that after what we saw in the last 2 games, they are, we can talk about this in a little bit more detail coming up, but they have looked at sort of enough of the positions across the board and are correctly looking at this as of, all right, for what you're going to get out of the preseason, for what you're going to show, for what you're going to see across the line of scrimmage from you, we've pretty much maxed out the gain, the benefit of playing. And I think that that's okay. I think that 4th series, that last series that they got on Saturday ended up being a very big one to make that conclusion. So I'm all for it. That's my best of the day. And we'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a second. My worst, I still don't really understand why this is happening or why there has to be questions about Keenan Allen's weight or ability. I'm very confused by it. If there's questions about some of his routes in that game the other day, it just seems very silly. I think Keenan Allen knows how to run routes. He's got a long ass career of doing so. And I would chalk that up as nothing other than it's a preseason game. And I don't know that Keenan Allen wanted to be out there in the preseason game. And I don't blame him. It's a guy that usually doesn't play in the preseason and has the last couple weeks. And I'm not even saying I had an issue with the routes, but I know some people have brought that up as a conversation. And that's all I would chalk it up to, because in practice, this dude looks like Keenan Allen. He's been making plays like Keenan Allen. And so just the fact that there's even teammates, having to take questions because this is a conversation, it's just like, how do we get to these points? But I think like the fights in practice or in the media stands, everyone's just sick of training camp at this point, and we're all just fighting through it.
Yeah. Keenan Allen ain't fat. Keenan Allen got talked about by a cornerback at Tyreek Stevenson today in a way that like very few wide receivers ever do. Things I'm worried about with the Chicago Bears. Keenan Allen's like last. That is interesting convo. Nick, why don't you give us your best and worst?
Yeah, I'm going best seeing Jaquan Brisker get out on the practice field again. It was nice seeing number 9, and he was as vocal as he's ever been, and had a couple of nice run stops during throughout the training camp practice. So it was nice just seeing one of the safeties back in there with, the secondary that's trying to come back together. But then on the other side of that, my worst is Kevin Byard right now. He's dealing with that soft tissue injury that Matt Eberflus revealed today. So one safety comes in, one safety is out, and Kevin Byard never misses. So it's not something that you normally see with a guy that's been consistently in for, available for his entire career. So best is just seeing number 9 out there, but do want to see Kevin Byard to see what that complete secondary actually looks like. And I'm sure with the time that there's still, we have here before week 1, I'm sure we'll get to see those guys out there, but right now it's still incomplete in the secondary.
Yeah, the Byard thing, that ain't great, because you do worry, like once you start to get dinged when you never have, you wonder if it can be turned around. It's, when age is a factor with a veteran like that. I liked what you said, Hoge, as far as why you picked them not playing as your best, but I am going to quibble with it and start out actually with my worst, them being the Bears starters not playing. I absolutely loved, it was great to come back and watch the Bengals game, which for whatever reason, it just wasn't working for me live up there. Anyway, so I'm rewatching the game, and I just felt so happy that, yes, you don't want to start with a 3 and out, and then you're deep into the second quarter. We're leaving him out there. Let them get a rhythm, move the ball down the field, score a touchdown, get a field goal. I thought all of that was great. It seemed like they were doing it at least somewhat on the fly. If he had played great earlier in the game, then maybe he wouldn't have played as long. And then today, Flew saying that they've been making this decision basically on the fly. So it was a whole lot. I enjoyed all of that. However, for me, I was looking for flip on the up, man. Like Caleb has talked about wanting to play, getting as many reps as possible. You have a huge gap between the 22nd and September 8th. You have a 22-day gap between the Bengals game and the Titans game, and you have a rookie quarterback who you're relying on big. So playing him in 2 of the 4 preseason games, even though he did get 43 actual snaps, just seems light to me. I would have liked to have seen them get out there, couple of series. I know that it's always a risk playing football, but at the end of the day, even if they're going against the Chiefs' 3rd stringers, I would have liked to have seen him play. And not just Caleb, but that the offensive line is still a work in progress here. Like, there's a lot of work in progresses going on. So, being ready to go week 1, I would have leaned into playing at least some on Thursday night. Plus, they've got a bunch of Thursday night games. So getting them 2 of them. So getting them ready on a short week, I saw at least a little bit of benefit in that, but more so just the reps. But my best on the day, and I don't want to be, too much about me, but I'm a me guy. And I thought that my return today was absolutely just stupendous. I thought I came into the room and I looked Matt Eberflus in the eye and asked him a great question about the decision making that he went through to sit Caleb, and he looked back at me, and I felt excellent about it. And I thought that me and Tyreek had great rapport. And then, Hoge, of course, is, he's got big practices today and so much going on. And yet he was focused on my question. So I really thought that my return gave practice a boost today that was quite frankly needed. And, I think people have been, this is the dog days, and I'm not in them because I took a little siesta. So I thought that my energy was key and ultimately landed the Bears in a great training camp fight. Carm for the win. Thank you very much.
Probably not.
Okay. And I like that we have drops now. This is a huge ad. This is very good. Can I ask you guys here on best and worst, just as an addendum to the best and worst, who is the Bears punt returner?
Oh, did you hear this argument going around in the stands today?
I did, and Kevin Fishbane asked me, and I said DeAndre Carter, and Fishbane looked at me like I was the biggest moron on the planet. And was he not brought here to return punts? Like, is it really going to be Josh Blackwell? Which, that's fine. I like Josh Blackwell. A sweet blitz the other day, great. But like, that's the punt returner. So I'm asking you guys, just because I missed a couple days here. Who's the Bears punt returner?
I think it's between those 2 guys. Like, we see Rome every day practicing, but I just don't think that's actually the option that the Bears are running with at this point. We haven't seen in the preseason. If you wanted to actually get a look at Rome as a punt returner, you probably would have done in the preseason. They're not doing that. So who's going to be the day 1 punt returner for the Bears? I mean, I'm surprised Fishbane looked at you crazy when you said DeAndre Carter.
I don't know that he did, because that seemed to be the most popular answer.
Okay, because I thought he looked at me like,
no, he was given the count, and I think DeAndre Carter was the leader in the clubhouse. The one thing I will say is I'd be surprised if DeAndre Carter, Velus Jones, and Dante Pettis all made the team.
Yeah, that's you would be or would not be.
No, I would be. I would be. I think when you factor in they have 3 clear starters at wide receiver, and then Tyler Scott, who I don't think they're giving up on yet. I don't see a spot for, all those other wide receivers, even if Velus is now technically a running back. I keep telling people he's the kick returner, can do multiple things. So yeah, I think it's probably DeAndre Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I gave the answer. My answer, actually, I hated my answer about 5 seconds after I gave it, which was somebody not on the roster.
That's not a terrible answer.
It's possible, but I don't know. It just seems
I
like
I don't know if they're in that position. Like, they have guys. It's just, and again, Dunze would be like your very last. If Carter were to get injured and Blackwell, then you put in a Dunze. So yeah. It's going to be interesting how they actually play it out there.
And for the record, I get that this is no disrespect to special teams coach Adam Hoge on the show, that it's a little bit of a, not the biggest issue on the team right now. But if you put somebody back there that messes it up horribly, it's a big deal.
They literally kept Trent Taylor on the roster all of last year because he could catch it.
Right.
Entire roster spot. The whole year, because they could trust him to catch the ball. He couldn't do much after that, but he could catch it. It's important.
Okay. Right. And so if Carter's not ready to do it, if he's not fully healthy, I mean, which direction do they go? I don't know. Who is the most sure-handed guy that you could put back there that you don't, in my mind, that you don't care if he gets hurt? Because I'm not putting Rome Odunze back there.
I don't know about the last part. Don't care if he gets hurt, but Josh Blackwell he's been pretty sure-handed when he catches the punts. Like, he doesn't seem to struggle with it. And he did it in college too at Duke. So again, it's not the most dynamic, but if you want somebody that just does the bare minimum, catch the football, make smart decisions with it too. Obviously, that comes with being a punt returner, but maybe that will be another way he can contribute on this football team.
Well, and it is important to remember though that for this specific spot, it is somebody you could add a week before the season and plug them in there,
right?
You know, they can catch up on offense and defense kind of as they go from that point on. But if you do need to go out and just grab somebody on the waiver wire, somebody comes available that you don't think was going to, or there's a trade possibility out there, you know, there are a lot of moves on that's my favorite part of training camp, to be honest with you. We got 90 players, and then like a lot of these years, 5 new guys show up like the day after final cuts.
We all silly like the mayor.